The call came on a Tuesday morning, a flat voice, bureaucratic. "This is Blackstone Correctional Facility. We have your father scheduled for his final meal. He has requested you on his last day." I almost laughed. My father died in a car crash when I was 10. The silence on the other end dragged. Then the warden spoke again. "The man here says differently. Please come." The world tilted. My throat tightened. Hours later, I was driving through endless miles of highway, the gray sky pressing down. My hands clenched the wheel, knuckles white. 1,000 memories surged, ashes in an urn, my mother's trembling hands, a grave I had visited for years. When they finally led me through the prison, my breath slowed. The corridors smelled of metal and disinfectant. And then, glass. On the other side sat a man in an orange jumpsuit. He lifted his head. His eyes were mine, older, harder. My blood ran cold. He smiled faintly. "You grew up well." I stared. Words wouldn't come. He leaned forward. "Your mother told you I was dead, but she lied. She buried me alive in stories because the truth would have destroyed her and you." The ground shifted under me. He told me about murders, about sentences stacked like bricks, about decades inside concrete walls. Then he said something that hollowed me out. "You were not supposed to be hers. She stole you. I am your blood." And I was erased. I shook my head, but doubt had already begun to bleed into me. My mother's silences, her aversion to photographs, the way she avoided questions about my father, shutting them down with brittle smiles. The man behind the glass, this stranger who looked like me, was planting seeds. And I hated how easily they found soil. I returned home with his voice echoing. My mother was older now, fragile, yet her eyes still sharp. When I asked about him, she dismissed it. "Prisoners say anything. He's manipulating you." But her hands shook as she poured her tea. That was all I needed. I began to dig. Birth certificates, old hospital records, files tucked away in county offices where no one had looked in decades. The name on my original birth record didn't match hers. DNA tests were next. I sent my own swab to a private lab, then another, taken from her. She never noticed. Nights became endless. I stared at old photographs, the man she had married, the one I buried in my mind. He looked nothing like me, nothing like the reflection in my bathroom mirror. And the prisoner, he did. Each discovery tightened the noose around her silence. The envelope came on a rainy afternoon, thin, final. I opened it slowly. Numbers, percentages, unforgiving truth. The prisoner was my father, not the man in the grave, not the story my mother had spun through my childhood. I carried the paper into her living room. She was knitting, eyes glued to the television. I placed it on the table. She read it. Her face drained, just like mine had when I first saw him. "I did it to protect you," she whispered. I sat still, every muscle frozen. "From what?" Her voice cracked. "From him. From what he was. From what you could become." Tears filled her eyes. I felt nothing. The silence between us weighed more than the truth. The next day I returned to the prison. He waited for me. Hope flickered in his eyes when I sat. I slid the DNA results under the glass. He touched the paper, trembling. "You see now?" he said, voice breaking. I leaned forward, calm, cold. "I see everything. I see the murders, the blood, the wreckage you left behind. You may have given me your face, your blood, but nothing else." His expression shattered. "I won't claim you. You'll die in here, alone, just like you lived." His fists slammed against the glass, but I didn't flinch. I stood, leaving the paper behind like a gravestone. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Not of death, of erasure. I didn't visit him again. The day of his execution, I sat in my car outside the prison, engine silent, rain tapping the windshield. I didn't go in. Inside, somewhere behind those walls, he was breathing his last. My phone buzzed with messages from my mother, begging for forgiveness. I didn't answer. The truth had split my life in two. One half built on lies, the other on blood I never asked for. I chose neither. I drove away, calm, detached, whole. Some inherit money, others inherit property. I inherited silence, and silence is the only legacy I will keep.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.